Okay, so this week we will be discussing the chieftainship of the first African farmers. So for this week, we will only be discussing from page 44 until page 51, just for this week. You need to know the difference between a kraal and a household. A household was the place where a woman and her children stayed. A group of households was known as a kraal. The kraal was managed by a chief who had many wives. The next thing that you need to know, agriculture, crops and livestock. Agriculture refers to the process of planting crops. A crop is something that is planted, and when it is grown, people can harvest it and eat it. Farmers who plant crops to use as a source of food for themselves and their families are called subsistence farmers. This means they do not sell their crops. To plant crops, the farmers needed suitable land. Suitable land meant fertile soil that receives regular rain, which resulted in the crops growing well. The next thing we need to discuss, social, political, and economic structures. This is about who the most important person was and who made the rules. The people in a village were ruled by a paramount chief. He was the wealthiest and most powerful person in the village. Under the paramount chief were the other chiefs who helped him rule. The next thing that we will discuss is a culture of cooperation, the roles of men and women. Each member of the community had a role to fulfill and a place in the community. When members of the community failed to perform their duties, it often resulted in them being punished. All the specific jobs are discussed in the study guide, so just go through them. You'll see all the roles in lesson 18. In lesson 19, role of the paramount chief. Each chief was born into a position of power, but not all chiefs were good leaders. Those who were have made it into the history books. We know this through the telling of stories and the history recorded by the Europeans who came into contact with these communities. The duties of the paramount chief are discussed in the study guide, so please refer back to the study guide to see the duties of the paramount chief. In lesson 20, we will be discussing the role of cattle. So cattle were very important and served as money at the time. Cattle had many uses. They are discussed in the study guide. So kindly again refer back to the study guide to see what the uses of the cattle was. The farmers revered cattle as it was a source of food, milk, and standard trading for lobola. Lobola is bride tax. When a young man wanted to marry a woman, he had to pay her father for her value in cows. After this has been read through and understood perfectly, you can go ahead and do the revision exercise on page 55. You can also make summaries of these lessons. So let's say for lesson 18, make a mind map to make a summary of all the content that was discussed in that lesson.